For the years from 2004 onward, for how many years shown on the chart was the unemployment rate higher than it was in each of the previous 2 years? So we're not counting these first 2 years because we don't know what happened before then. But starting in 2004, that's less than the previous year, then less than the previous year, then less than the previous year. When we get to 2007, hard to say, it might be slightly bigger than 2006, but it's definitely not bigger than 2005. Then we get to 2008. Well, now this one is clearly higher than, looks like the 3 that are in front of it. Then we get to 2009, that is higher than everything to the left. And then we get to 2010, which is the highest on the whole chart. And then in 2011, we start to get a decline as the subprime mortgage crisis begins to wane. But these 3 points right here all satisfy the criteria that they are higher than each of the 2 previous years. And so there are 3 years that satisfy that condition. The percent increase in unemployment rate from 2008 to 2009 is approximately what? So we're going from this point here in 2008, that appears to be about 5.8%, to this point here in 2009, that is approximately 9.1%, that gigantic rise caused by the subprime mortgage crisis. So we could bust out our calculators here and actually figure out the exact percent. But especially because the question is saying approximate, let's use our approximation skills. We know that if we were going from 6 to 9, a change from 6 to 9, well, of course, that's adding 3, which is half of 6. So that means that what this is a 50% increase. If the price of something goes from $6 to $9, it is a 50% increase. Well, here we have something that is less than 6, smaller than 6, going to something that is greater than 9. So from smaller to 6 to larger than 9, that's going to be more than 50%. And the only answer that fits that bill here is answer choice E, 59.9%, which indeed is the correct answer. The U.S. unemployment rate in 2007 was approximately what? So as often the case in a set of data interpretation questions, the first question here is just read an individual point off the graph. So we're looking at this point right here at 2007, and appears the height is between 4 and 5. So about halfway between 4 and 5, so it looks like 4.6% would be the best answer. Answer choice B. The total number of people at Melpomene High School who are involved in band and at least one other group. So we're not going to count the band-only people. We're going to count band and athletic teams, band and honor society, and band and the other 2 together. So all 3 of these together account for 44% of the population. What is 44% of 400? Well, 400 times 0.44, you can do this on your calculator, comes out to 176, and that is the answer. The total number of people in the Honor Society at Melpomene High School, regardless of other activities, is approximately what percent higher than the total number of people in Honor Society at Thalia? So this is a rare question where we're really going to have to lean on the calculator a little bit. So at Melpomene High School, we have 16%, and 26, 10, 6. This is 56%. What is 56% of 400? 400 times 0.56 is 224. So the first number, this total number, is 224. Now the same thing at Thalia High School, which is a little more of a jock school. We have 2, 15, 8, 2. These add up to 27%. What is 27% of 700? So 700 times 0.27. This comes up to 189. And then we want to know 189 is what Well, 224 is what percent bigger than 189. So 189 is our starting point. 224 is what percent bigger than that. Well, this is a hard one just to approximate, so we'll actually go ahead with the calculation. Percent increase, this would be 224 minus 189 over 189, which would equal that difference, 35 over 189. On the calculator, that comes out to about 185. We round up to about 19%, and that's the answer choice C. How many non-band members at Melpomene, regardless of other activities, would have to join the band so that they had the same number of band members as does Thalia High School? So really what this boils down to, we just have to find the number of people in band at each school. How much bigger is the Thalia band? So, Melpomene High School, if we look at the band, we have 11% and 14% and 26% and 4%. And all those together add up to 55%. What is 55% of 400? Well, 400 times 0.55, and that would be 220. So that's the band at Melpomene, 220 students. Now, at Thalia High School, we have 8%, 10%, 15%, 2%. Add those up, that is 35%. What is 35% of 700? Well, 700 times 0.35, that equals 245. So there are 245 students in the Thalia band. Well, what's the difference? The difference between these two, of course, is 25. Answer choice B.
This question is asking us to find the median number of visits per person to the doctor from the time listed in this graph. Just turn this into a circle. So in the y-axis of this graph, we have the number of persons who visited the doctor. And in the x-axis, each one of these bars represents the number of visits per person. So to find the median, the first thing we want to do is count the number of visits per each one of these bars here, so we can add them together, find the total number of persons represented in this graph. So 0 is 30, 1 is 35, 2 is 55, 3 is 45, 4 is also 45, and 5 plus is 40. Now you may be worried about the 5 plus here, but since we're looking for the median or the middle number or numbers, we don't have to worry about the far right part of this graph. So that's no concern to us for this problem at least. All right, we add all of these together and we get a total number of people of 250. Now since we have an even number here, we just can't take the single middle number because there will be 2. So the median is going to equal the average of the 125th and the 126th person divided by 2. There we go. All right, so let's count. 0, we have 30. 1, we have 35, so 65 people have been to the doctor one or fewer times. Adding to 55, it's 120. Added to 45, it's 165. Now we know that 120 people have visited the doctor 2 or fewer times. That means that the 125th and the 126th person must have visited the doctor 3 times from January to February in 2015. So that's how we know that the median is going to equal 3 plus 3 divided by 2, or simply just 3. The answer is C. Okay, so in this problem, we're looking for the number of people that visit the doctor 4 or more times in the above period of time. So let's focus on there first. So you could have gone to the doctor 4 times, 5 times, or more than 5 times. So we're going to focus on these 2 columns. So let's count the number of people in those 2 columns first. So for number 4, we see 45. And for 5 plus visits, we see 40. So the total number of people that went to the doctor 4 plus times equals 85. Now we have to find what percent is 4 or more times of visits of the total number of people. So now we have to count all the people who did a doctor visit or who did not go to the doctor. Pretty much every bar that's represented in this chart. So here we see 30, 35, 55, and once again 45. So to 85, we already counted these two, they're out. So we're going to add 30, 35, 55, and 45. And that is going to give us 0, 8, 11, 14, 17, 23, carry the 2 is 250. So lastly, to calculate the percent, we take the number of people who visited the doctor 4 plus times, which is 85, and put that over 250. So here we do want to use the calculator because using the calculator here will give us the answer straight away. And doing this in our heads or trying to simplify it may just take too much time. It's going to give us 0.34, which equals 34%. There's no need to round because it's already to a whole percent. And that is our answer. Okay, so in this problem here, we're looking for which of the following answers could represent the total number of doctor visits. So if a number of doctor visits is possible, it's a correct answer. Now in this bar graph, we see the number of persons is on the y-axis, and the number of visits per person are represented by the bars. So this one represents 0, this one represents 1 visit per person, and so on. So we are going to calculate the total number of visits by taking the number of visits per person, which I'm going to write as VP, and then multiplying that by the number of persons. So let's get started on that. First, we see 0. So anything times 0 is 0. I'm just going to write 0 for that. 1 times 35. So let's do a 1 times 35 here. So each one of these people visited that doctor once in the time span. That gives us 35. Now we do 2 times, it looks like 55, which is going to give us 110. We move on. 3 times 45 is going to give us 135. And 4, also in the same one as 3, so we can do times 45 there, is going to equal 180. Now let's look at this 5 plus here. So the number of visits per person, when it says 5 plus, it can mean any integer up to and including 5. So it could be 10, so it could be 15, it could be a number so long as it's 5 or over. So what do we do here? Let's think about the minimum first. Let's do 5 times 40. That's going to give us 200, which gives us a minimum possible total number of visits of 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1, 4, 5, 8, 16. Carry the 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 660. So the minimum number of visits is 660, which means the number of visits can't be 250, 575, or 650. But could it be more than that? Well, if we think about it, let's say instead of going 5 times in this group, 15 people went 6 times. That means that instead of 25 people would have gone 5, and 6 people would have gone, 15 would have gone 6, which gives us 125 plus 90 equals 215. So we add 15 to here to represent the extra number of visits. That gets us 675, which is D. Now let's say instead of 5 times, each one of these people went 6 times. So instead of 5 times 40 equals 200 equals 660, we would have 6 times 40 equals 240. And instead of 660, we would have 700, which is E. So as you see here, the minimum is 660, but anything above that could be the total number of visits, which means possible answers are F and G as well. So the answers to this problem are D, E, F, and G.